business buying friends. Welcome to Cash or Crash. I'm Della Kay, your neighborhood CPA, and I'm here to help you navigate the potholes of buying your first JOB. Yep, buying your first mom and pop small business that you can operate with built-in customers, automatic product market fit, and instant profits. Side gig struggles, corporate handcuffs, analysis paralysis on where to even start. All that shit can eat our dust. On each episode, we'll swing by a different business that's for sale. Is it worth your hard-earned cash, or is it more likely a deadly crash waiting to happen? We'll look at profit, sales, industry, and all the things. Kickstands up. Let's ride this one out.
Hey ladies, this is Della Kay, your neighborhood CPA, and we're here to tear up another business listing. We'll learn, turn, and burn and dive deep so you can do the same on your own listings. Now, this tiny jewelry shop will not replace your salary, so why even consider buying it? Because income replacement is only one reason to buy a profitable business. I picked this listing because it's a teeny tiny but very profitable business for sale, but with a twist. The whole listing is shown here, and we'll focus on the highlights. This one is interesting to say the least. Stick around and tell me what you think. It's labeled as a growing wholesale and D2C, which is direct-to-consumer, jewelry-centric accessories business. Say that 10 times fast. This is a wholesale and direct-to-consumer retailer of jewelry, jewelry-centric accessories, artwork, wallpaper, decor. Quite the combo they have here. The asking price is $190,000. They're claiming their revenue is $226,859, very specific. Of this, the cash flow, SDE, or money going directly into the owner's pocket, is supposed to be $60,229. Now, the fastest way to figure this out is with my rapid-fire listing review. 5 easy points we can break down in 5 minutes or less. Step number 1, find the profit margin. Step number 2, calculate what the loan payments would be with this purchase. Step number 3, analyze the loan coverage. Step number 4, compute your personal salary replacement. And step number 5, figure the sales price multiple. 5 easy steps in 5 minutes or less. Now let's slow it down a bit and dive into each step of the rapid fire listing review with the info provided for our cute little jewelry shop. The first step is to calculate the profit margin, and we do this by taking the cash flow and dividing it by the gross revenue. In my world, anything above 15% has potential. So what is this jewelry shop's profit margin? The annual cash flow is $60,000. The annual revenue is $227,000, rounding for simplicity's sake. So $60,000 divided by $227,000 is about 26%. A profit margin of 26% means that the owner is putting 26 cents in their pocket for every $1 of revenue or sales generated. Pretty strong. Some industries will have much higher standards, while others, like restaurants, will be much lower, even 10% or less. That's going to put a little fuel in our tank as you see the gauge moves up to about 1/8. Let's see what else this deal can provide. Step number 2 in the rapid fire listing review is to calculate the SBA loan payments. Now, there are lots of ways to structure your deals, and an SBA loan is only one of them. And I'm not even saying it's the best way, but it is a great baseline for review purposes. There are several SBA loan programs, but for this conversation, we're talking about the SBA 7A, specifically for business buying. Yep, it's a thing. This deal is especially small, so we'll have to find the right lender. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a slight detour here. Finding not just any lender, but the lender that's right for you and your deal is something that's not talked about nearly enough. Lenders are just like any other service provider in that they have their own lending box. Some lenders only want to rent to manufacturing businesses. Some lenders won't touch a restaurant or bar with a 10-foot pole, and some lenders specialize in tax and bookkeeping practices. My point is this: just because your lender turns you down doesn't necessarily mean that your deal is bad. It could just mean that they don't do your type of loan. Do your research and find the lender that will be your cheerleader and help you get the deal done. So back to our jewelry shop here. We're going to use the standard of a 10-year loan and an interest rate of 9%. Of course, interest rates vary, but this is good for our conversation. Using any amortization calculator, punch in 9%, 10 years, and the list price of $190,000. The loan payment for something like this would be about $2,400 a month, which is around $29,000 a year. Now, before you freak out and wonder how you're going to eke out another $2,400 from your budget that's already pretty tight, you have to remember that these payments are meant to come from the business. The business must be able to pay for itself. You don't qualify for this type of loan based on your income or your W-2 job. The business qualifies for this loan. That's the whole point of buying an existing profitable business. So the third point of our rapid fire listing review is exactly that, loan coverage. And banks can have pretty strict guidelines. They usually like to see enough free cash flow to cover the annual loan payment 1.25 times or more. So, can the cash flow of this jewelry shop cover the loan payments? The cash flow, remember from the listing, is stated at about $60,000 a year. We calculated the loan payments at $29,000 a year. So yes, the jewelry shop can indeed pay for itself. The cash flow is way more than the annual loan payment. But what's the loan coverage ratio? How many times can the cash flow cover the loan payment? 60 divided by 29 equals 2.06. That's fantastic. Our fuel tank is really filling up now. Now don't go anywhere, because the next part is where most new buyers crash and burn big time. I've seen it over and over again. They get excited about the deal itself. But remember, the goal is not just to buy a business, but to buy the right business for you and your family. I see new business buyers totally miss this lane change. They blow right by this and erase disaster. And that slippery spot in the business buying road is the salary replacement factor. The fact that the business can pay for itself is a fantastic starting point, but it's only the first part of a good deal. In addition to making that loan payment, this company must be able to pay you, and not just pennies, but a good living wage. And that's point number 4 on our rapid fire listing review. Covering your current salary is the minimum requirement, usually, though this listing adds another twist. But in general, buying a business is your chance to buy a whole new lifestyle. So if you're living on $75,000 a year, don't buy a business that can only pay you $50,000. And on the flip side, don't get too big for your britches either. What I mean is, if you're currently at $75,000 of income, $100,000 would be a fantastic raise. But don't shoot for that $1 million paycheck on your first deal. You've got to set yourself up for success. So back to our jewelry shop. We take that cash flow of $60,000, subtract the loan payments that we calculated at $29,000, and that leaves us about $31,000 to either pay you, invest into growing the business, or possibly to pay it off earlier. Now, I seriously doubt if you can live on $31,000 a year, no matter how frugal you are. But here's the thing with this listing. What if you already had a complementary business? What if you already had a cute little shop selling something similar? Would you be happy to put an additional $30,000 of profit in your pocket every year just by buying this one small business? All right, this deal seems to have some potential for the right buyer. And that's exactly why I coach people on a certain path of self-analysis as the first step in buying a business. No points earned here, so our fuel gauge stays at half a tank. Now that we've covered the lifestyle piece, let's talk about what this business is really worth. That brings us to the 5th and final point in our rapid fire listing review. As good as this business looks, and it does look pretty good so far, it's obviously not worth millions of dollars. Or maybe it's not so obvious yet. You've probably heard the chatter about price and multiple and SDE, but what does it all mean? When we talk about how much a company is worth or how much we're willing to pay, we use a term called multiple. And this is usually a multiple of SDE, seller's discretionary earnings, which basically means the profit or cash flow, the money that goes into the seller's pocket to spend as they see fit. So the formula is price divided by cash flow. The price of the jewelry shop is $190,000. The cash flow is $60,000. So we end up with a multiple of 3.16. Easy math, but what does it mean? Well, it varies. It's kind of like the profit margin we talked about in the beginning of the episode. We expect to see different profit margins depending on the nature of the business, and we expect to see different multiples based on different types of companies. Here's a good rule of thumb for the small brick and mortar companies we're driving by. A multiple of 2 to 3 is probably reasonably priced. A small manufacturing business may be closer to 5 if that's what you're looking for, and a tiny shop like this one would probably be lucky to get to a 2. Now that doesn't mean that we ignore everything that's a little overpriced, but we don't want to be too far off from the owner's expectations either. So our fuel tank is still not budging on this one. We're stuck at about half a tank. For me, this business is way too small and probably too owner dependent to justify a multiple of 3 plus. This could definitely be a deal breaker, but let's tuck that one up our sleeve and try to turn it into a point of negotiation instead, especially when you find out what's coming up next. Let's take a quick pit stop and see where we are with this company. Profit margin, check, a strong 26%. Loan payments, check, totally doable at $29,000 a year. Loan coverage, check again, 2.06 times. Salary replacement, nope, don't think so. Multiple, again, questionable, not insane, but not fantastic either. There's no way we're paying 3 times for such a tiny business. And of course, I have a spreadsheet to help with all these rapid-fire listing review calculations. Hit me up for your copy. There are other subtleties that go into analyzing a deal, but at this point, we're trying to decide if this listing is worth our time or not. Listen, I am absolutely here for all you DIY deal divas. You can totally do this, and that's part of why I make all the free content that I do. But if you're staring at a listing and a couple years of tax returns and you're thinking, what the fuck do I do next? I'm here to help. I'll do a private deal review and let you know exactly what's going on with this listing, because if you know me, you know I love a good tax return. Check out the link below. Now, the numbers have to work, but there's still more to it. Is this the right business for you? Does it need your skills and connections? Can you take this company to the next level? Let's see what other tidbits are in this listing. It was established 7 years ago, so it's not brand new, but it's not a multi-generational shop either. But the last thing you want to do is buy someone else's startup struggles. Have you ever heard of the Lindy Effect? Very important concept in business buying. It states that the longer something has been around, the more likely it is to continue to be around. One interesting thing about this little retail shop is that it started from a jewelry and lifestyle blog. Now, I don't have any of the details here in the listing, but I'm thinking they must have a strong digital component, hopefully an email list, because that alone can be very valuable. Did you know that on average, each subscriber on an active email list can be worth $40 or more, and sometimes way more? And here's a whole nother component to this listing. It goes on to say that the current owner is great at the artsy craft side of this business, but not so good at the operation side. So they want to stay on as a designer while someone else owns and operates the business. This could be an interesting partnership for the right buyer, if you can just think outside the box. My CPA hot take: buying a business is a very personal thing. Now, we're not all going to run out and buy car washes and laundromats just because some guru says they're great. We have to analyze our skills, assess our family situation, and know what our ideal day looks like. Ladies, buy the lifestyle that makes you sparkle and shine. So what's your verdict, friends? Was this a cash or a crash? Do you want to buy this business? Should I buy this business? Or should we buy this business together? Because I'd love to be your business buying partner. Now, spoiler alert, for me, this is definitely a no-go, because my idea of buying jewelry is using my Kohl's cash to grab a clearance item and hope it doesn't turn my neck green. So, not my thing.
The truth with any listing is this: you've got to dig into those financials to know for sure. But my CPA hot take: number 1, always do your own due diligence. Number 2, always base your decisions on tax returns, not just financial statement printouts. And number 3, that sales memorandum and financial reconstruction from your broker, that's nothing but a sales document, I promise you. Should I sign an NDA and get the goods on this business? Should we buy this business together? Drop your thoughts below. If you enjoyed today's ride, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with your crew. And I'll see you on the next Cash or Crash. Ride safe and peace out.